we're going to talk about an amazing update, a shocking update when it comes to Tyler Robinson and the Charlie Kirk assassination. Of course, Candace Owens has been at the forefront of this ongoing investigation. I think it's important to bring to light what Candace has been saying and the investigating she's been doing. She's been putting a lot of work into looking into what the truth is behind the assassination of her friend, Charlie Kirk. And as y'all know here, we want to get the facts. We want to know the truth. We reviewed some things Candace was showing yesterday, or in the last video, we talked about this, showing someone who is related to another authority figure in the Utah area that posted videos of them walking the crime scene. They had conversations about how close that wooded area where they were walking was to where the shooting actually took place. And they're showing the area where the gun was allegedly dumped. And there was conversation had back and forth while this video is recording. Now we're hearing that there may have been somebody else involved, and there may be new footage showing that Tyler Robinson, or whoever the shooter is in this case, actually met up with a woman or a girl after the shooting. What? Candace Owens is going to explain and talk about it here, what she's finding, and then we're going to see and make our own decision of what we think is going on. Check this out. Shout out to Candace.
Now let's jump back into what actually took place on that day.
Here we go.
Because I'm starting to get a bit of a stronger hunch about things. We'll jump back in here regarding Shayner Broderick, who is, according to Phil Lyman, a cousin who he refers to Phil as his uncle across interviews. Doesn't matter. They're family members is the main point, and they know each other. And Shayner Broderick has, of course, mysteriously deleted all of his socials except for Instagram, but he's wiped his Instagram, okay? Just deleted his Facebook and just outright deleted his LinkedIn page because I asked him a question before we even went live. That was his response, okay? Now, he did this not before I grabbed everything that I needed from his pages. I just had a suspicion that he might not be willing to participate, and I was operating under the assumption that he might just privatize his socials. So I instructed my team to grab everything before I even made contact. Now, what I did not anticipate was that he would delete the content.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Why would he delete the content? That part never wasn't tracking for me. It didn't make sense to me. Now it sort of maybe does make a lot of sense to me. So you will recall that we had received a lead live on the show. Someone paid money to inform us that there was footage that the FBI was hiding, right? She wrote in, said, I have been trying to reach out to you everywhere. The FBI is hiding footage. The doorbell cam footage had more. This is what the person told us. She said, the shooter is then seen changing his clothes and he is with a woman. She told me. And then she gives me.
Now, I want to be clear. This Ring camera footage that they're showing right here, from what I understand, and I think this may be an issue on Candace's production side, this is the alleged video from when Tyler was walking to the school. This isn't said to be after the shooting. So I just wanted to clear that up because I had an issue with it when we first reviewed it too, and I was confused. I'm like, how is he wearing different clothes? How did he change that fast? What happened? This video is allegedly taking place from in the morning when it's being said that Tyler allegedly went to the school. So just to clear that up.
This is what the person told us. She said, the shooter is then seen changing his clothes and he is with a woman. She told me. And then she gives me a name, and that name was another Lyman family member. And that's when my spidey senses started tingling. I'm like, okay, this is a lot of Lymans. Now, I want to be very clear and fair to Phil Lyman. He has been forthcoming about the fact that his family owned that property. Like, they own everything there. That is not mysterious. He's not hiding that fact. UVU, in many ways, purchased the university from his family, right? That the acreage from his family for that university. But I did feel that if that is the case, obviously, then Phil Lyman would, in theory, be able to access that footage, right? Be able to speak to his family members. And yeah, I didn't want to come out and say that it was a fact that there was a woman with the shooter without any proof. We had no proof outside of this person, and what she was saying felt real to me definitively, but I needed something more solid. Well, we came across something more solid.
Here we go.
We reviewed the footage that Shaner Broderick, of course, we downloaded everything but hadn't actually reviewed it, had wiped from the internet. And yeah, the proof is in the pudding, and I'm going to let you hear it. Now, to set this up, you will recall that Shaner and his close friends that nobody knows, apparently, they were retracing the footsteps of the killer. They were at his grandma's house, he said. And he's speaking on camera with his aunt to set this footage up for you. And sure enough, you're going to hear right in the beginning, his aunt is going to mention that there was a woman who was helping the shooter, and she's not sure whether or not that person was an accomplice. I would say if you're helping the shooter, you were an accomplice. But somehow we all missed this in this actual clip that Shaner had posted and has since been wiped from the internet. Take a listen.
If you time,
we watched this yesterday.
How long it took him to get from that little part over to here was way longer than it should have been. So I wondered if the girl had given him stuff, like if there is an accomplice. Sorry, you're filming.
And it said right here, that picture from Sam's across the street, he was right here.
Yep. Who's the girl?
So you see, she's talking about the shooter, and she says, I was wondering if the girl had given him stuff, and then somebody off camera says, you know, you're filming, and she says, I'm sorry that you're filming, but it's very clear. There's no question at all. In fact, leading into that, which we should have maybe cut that a little bit earlier, they're speaking about how she thought the FBI had it wrong. The timing didn't make sense to her. And that's what she's starting with. The timing doesn't make sense to me because I thought that it took a little longer for him to walk. Let's play that again, Skylar, just so they can hear it again. She says, there's a girl. Take a listen.
If you time how long it took him to get from that little part over to here was way longer than it should have been. So I wondered if the girl had given him stuff, like if there is an accomplice. Sorry, you're filming.
And it said right here, that picture from Sam's across the street, he was right here.
Yep.
So just to be clear, those subtitles are wrong. It's just that's AI. She's saying, I wondered if there is an accomplice. Okay. I wondered if there is an accomplice, which we should edit that, Chris, when we re-release that. And then somebody says something, and she's like, sorry, I didn't realize you were filming. Okay. So we have the woman who was my source who said that the FBI cut the footage and she was certain of it. And now we have actually the woman who handed over her footage to the FBI saying, I wondered if that woman was an accomplice.
Now, when it comes to someone seeing a woman or catching a woman on camera, we need to know and we need to find out what's going on with Lance, the roommate. Because it's alleged that Tyler and Lance were in a relationship. Where was Lance at the time that this took place? Where was Lance when everything went down? Because this is going to change everything if Lance was somehow involved. I'm not implicating Lance in this, but there was speculation when this first came out that Lance could have been involved, especially now that Lance was allegedly transitioning from male to female. And then some of the things that were written on the bullets, the conversations with Tyler. And it seems like Lance was pretty much cooperating with police, according to Governor Cox. But what does that mean? Why would the cooperation be there? And with the distance being so far away, I don't know. I can't imagine that Lance would be involved, but it seems strange that Tyler would be meeting with someone and allegedly a woman and it not be Lance. So I don't know. It's a lot of confusion here. And if this is something that actually happened, we need to see the footage. We need to see the video because it's all just speculation at this point.
Ladies and gentlemen, what the heck is going on? Who was the woman that was with the alleged shooter? Why wouldn't the FBI immediately release that? Now, again, you should recall that the very next morning on September the 11th, TMZ already had the doorbell cam footage. Okay. So that means that the FBI already had the footage, right? They would have seen that there was a woman with the shooter. And yet they chose during this manhunt, during this 33-hour manhunt, not to inform the public that they were also looking for a woman who this lady believes she wondered whether or not she would have been an accomplice. If that was his accomplice. What happened to this lady? Who is the girl, the woman that was in this footage, guys?
Lance?
I don't know. What are your ideas here? Why would the FBI not tell us something so evidently crucial to this story that we have?
They might not tell us because it's an ongoing investigation.
So evidently crucial to this story that we have a woman that's involved. What does she look like? How
Like
old is
Lance?
she? I obviously did the sensible thing, right? I reached out to Phil Lyman because it's his family, and I asked him whether or not he would be willing to track down this footage for me. And he's not happy with me. He's angry. I mean, he said really not nice things to me. He started asking me if I had something to do with the shooting. Okay.
Wow.
And I basically just stayed focused and said, Phil, okay, we showed your footage. He's very upset about cousin versus nephew thing. I said, it's all irrelevant. If you're saying you actually want to help us catch the killer, right? If that's really where your heart was, if that's really why you injected yourself so much into this story, why wouldn't you, knowing how deeply I care about this, walk over while you're in the neighborhood popping by, walk over to your aunt, grandma, cousins, I don't care whose house, and say, hey, you said there was an accomplice, that there was a woman, okay, that might have been an accomplice. Do you mind letting me see the raw footage so that I can hand it over to Candace? In fact, how about just giving me any of the footage that your family rushed to give to TMZ? Why did they rush to give it to TMZ?
It's a great
By the
question.
way, you definitely said you were at your cousin's house and that you hadn't seen the footage. You were watching it live with Kayleigh McEnany on Fox News. That's what you said during that segment, right? This is the first time I'm seeing this footage. So apparently your cousin, close enough to go to their house, but your cousin decides to give the footage to TMZ before you can even see it. Okay, maybe the feds gave it. That's another assumption. That's the only two options. Either your cousin gave it to TMZ or the feds gave a portion of it to TMZ, which begs the question, why were we not told about the woman? Who was the woman?
Allegedly. And again, there's a lot of information that still needs to come out. And I'm really hoping not only that this stays a state case, but that it stays and actually goes to trial. Because if not, all this is just going to go away. I can't imagine that the DA's office would give Tyler a plea in this case. It doesn't make sense. And if what they're saying is true, then they should have everything they need to point to Tyler. If they have the gun, if they have him walking there, if they have him changing, if they have the text messages. If not, the DA's office giving Tyler a plea in this case would just seem strange. Unless they want to paint it and they want to go under the guise of a fair trial and the district attorney's offices and the court's resources. I guess I could see that. But this is something that people are going to want to see the evidence on. I think we deserve to see the evidence on in a trial setting. Now, moving forward through this, Candace also goes on to talk about the medical examiner's report and what was going on with the coroner, because that's another weird situation as well. Now, I've done some research on my own and I found out more information. There were some phone calls that were allegedly leaked about Erica and her not wanting to do an autopsy and how the autopsy took place. And we may get into that in another video, but it seems like there's a lot of strange activity going on behind Charlie Kirk getting to the hospital, then his funeral taking place, and there being an autopsy, not being an autopsy. So I want to find and play this from Candace Owens talking about the autopsy. This is very interesting. Oh, and I gotta unmute this. Sorry, guys.
Certainly, it was kind of everybody's first day on the job, right? 9/10 was everybody's first day on the job, meaning that there were a lot of these recent and brand new hires in Utah that would all kind of come across and have to deal with this case. Kash Patel, I told you, cleaned house at the state borough. He then installs a person that has a long tenure in DC, Robert Bowles. His first case is Charlie Kirk's assassination. Why would he want to uproot and move his family to Utah after having roots in Virginia for so long? I don't know, but that's the circumstance. Also, I told you there was a new CEO and therefore a new lead surgeon, Andrew Zenger, over at the hospital, the regional hospital that Charlie was taken to, although that was not the nearest hospital from the university. And it also ranked extremely low in terms of the most best equipped hospital, if you will, to deal with the sort of trauma that Charlie was suffering from, a neck wound, obviously. So it's very strange. I think it would be interesting to learn whether or not that new CEO and surgeon worked on Charlie. That's something that I would like to find out. If you know that information, please send it to us at tips@CandaceOwens.com.
Send it over.
Okay. That's not it, though. There were also some other new people, and I forgot to mention the judge that is in the case, that is overseeing the case against Tyler Robinson.
I like the
is
judge.
Judge Tony F. Graff Jr.
He's good.
He was recently appointed to the 4th District Court in May of 2025 by Governor Spencer Cox. I was also informed that the coroner in this case was also brand spanking new. That name has not yet been released. I am told that person is new. Okay.
Yikes. So again, a lot of information that needs to come out. Everything seemed to move very fast, especially with there seeming to be no autopsy done. And then again, that's alleged. That's all rumors. We haven't seen anything certain on that. So what is going on here, and what evidence are we going to be able to see when it comes to Charlie Kirk's cause of death, when it comes to what happened when he actually got to the hospital? Because again, we're hearing so many stories, and we're hearing things from Erica, we're hearing things from Candace, and now some of the evidence is starting to come out as far as what Tyler was doing leading up to that, during that, after that. And we still don't have a lot of information on what happened to Charlie either. Let me know what y'all think about this in the comments in the chat. I will leave a link to this full video from Candace Owens in the description for y'all, so you can go and support her and check that out as well.